Good night, everyone. Welcome to Talk Truth Telling. Talk Truth, people. Talk Truth. Talk Truth. Talk Truth. Yes, tonight we are here as usual to hear some truth. And as we see the topic on the screen, battered woman, tell somebody. When I said battered woman, yes, maybe somebody will get beat up by them husband, by them boyfriend, by them lover. Hey, but when I said tell somebody, what talk truth I come with? Tell somebody. It means if you were beaten by your lover, your spouse, your husband, don't keep it as a secret. You must tell somebody. There's a lot of people right now all over the world getting abused by their spouse. Yes, their husband, their lovers, you know, their side person. And they're in it for a long time. People may say, boy, them stupid, man. He might beat the man 2, 3, 4, 5 years just in it and she now come out. But nobody tries to see what happened, why she stays, you know. Some people believe that when they entered into a marriage, just like Pastor Jennings said, he believed once you marry and the person is alive, you don't believe in divorce. So people believe that when they enter into a relationship and get married, the only time they get divorced is unless one of the person becomes deceased, die. So that is a reason for them to stay in it. I'm not saying it's a good reason. I them should be. I tell you the reason. Is people believe. Yeah, some other people truly believe that the man love them. So every time the man beat them, the man come back and say, "Babes, we love you, you know," and she believe him. Go back to square one. Sometimes them truly believe that it will get better one day. Year one, year two, year three, year four, year five, year six, and it goes on and on. Sometimes the end results tragedy. So when I said battered woman, tell somebody. Tonight we have a special guest with us in studio. Robin White Morton, all the way from the United States of America. And she said truth about being battered and abused. You want to know how it started, how she got out of it, that she could be here now? I'm telling you, you're going to hear some things you just will never believe. So right now, without further ado, I will Robin White Morton, her truth. Robin White, how you doing? You're looking well. Okay, where you originated from? And that's where you're living right now?
I
Okay. Um, so how long you living in Alabama now?
I think I'm going into my 13th year. I was born and bred in Louisiana, the home of jazz
How was
and the
it
Mardi Gras.
how was it growing up in Louisiana?
It was always fun to me growing up. I always think about the fun things with school because I loved going to school all the time. And I really loved my teachers. They were always very kind. So school was always good and spending a lot of time with my father. Mhm.
Your father was a nice person. How was he too?
Very, very loving.
You seen a part of struggling growing up around your father?
No, I never struggled with my father. I always, every chance I got to be near him, I would find my way there. Opposed to being inside with my mother and my siblings, my sisters, I would find my way outside in the yard with my dad where he was working. So I spent a lot of time with my father.
Okay. And what make you leave from Louisiana to go to
Well, I,
Alabama?
well, I went to Alabama actually I was in Hurricane Katrina, and my son was studying at Curtis Institute of Music in Philadelphia, and we were bused from the Superdome to Texas, to Huntsville, Texas, and from there we finally found our son Joshua, who's an opera singer. So we found him, and the school was gracious enough to host us. So they took care of all of the airfare and all of that, and the hotel, and they brought us to Philadelphia, and we stayed there for several years. As a matter of fact, Joshua says, "Mom, come and move to Philadelphia and go to school and be there while I go to school." And I'm like, "Okay, no, Josh, you're growing up. You go and you do what you have to do. I'm going to just stay home." Right.
Your education history, schools you attend?
Um, I attended my favorite school, elementary school, which was Paul Laurence Dunbar. And from there, I went to middle school, Alfred C. Priestley to Forche. And I studied in the New Orleans Center for Creative Arts, one of our premier art schools for high school students. And from there, I studied in the conservatory.
Okay. So what I do for extracurricular?
Me, it's work. It's all work. You know, it has to do with culture, because I'm very much into the arts and entertainment, teaching. You know, I love teaching kids and training, grooming, scouting, writing, songwriter, singer, doing anything that has to do with the arts. I have this motto that I will live for the arts and I will die for the arts.
When I
It's
look
my
at
breath of fresh air.
when I look at your bio, I see that you sing.
I do sing a little.
Yes, tell me about that. Sing.
Well, my name is Robin. So when people say, "What is your name?" I say, "Robin, sing like a bird," because birds sing. So it's a way for them to always remember my name.
Type of music you sing.
I particularly love jazz, traditional jazz, and I especially love my songs, the songs I write.
Yeah. Any
hmm
songs? Yeah.
I have. I've done, actually, I've been on 10 CDs as I was doing my rebranding that I'm doing right now. And I went through some research. I've been recorded since I was 17 years old, starting with Shakespeare.
I started to do poetry.
I do, yes.
Tell me about the poetry.
Well, poetry, just like my art, is something that's very liberating and free. I don't have to be interrupted. I mean, if I don't want to put a period at the end of a sentence in poetry, I have that liberty. And if I'm painting and I want to have a stroke to go in a certain direction, it's just freedom. And it's very liberating, and it's very extremely relaxing. And the type of art that I do is basically pointillism. I've done 7 art shows, none of which I've done in Alabama, all of which have been in different galleries in New Orleans.
I even realized that you have a
Yeah, I've done some. It's the arts, you
what you
know.
doing now?
Well, I grew up in the School of the Arts, so my first commercial I did, I was 14 years old, and believe it or not, it was a Popeye's chicken commercial. And I learned to do the New Orleans second line by one of our ambassadors, the late Elena Tatum. She taught me to second line. And my father didn't want us to dance. He didn't think that we should be dancing because our family was like kind of churchy church. So we couldn't dance, but my mother would always let us dance. And I love to dance too. So that was one of my fun things.
I'm going to ask again. Very publishing company.
I do. It's
Wow.
it's Poet Laureate
Uh-huh.
Publishing Company, which was established in Birmingham. But my dean of the college, prior to her passing, she had made a recommendation that I publish other poets because I had already published at least, I think I had published 10 books of my own. And so she says, "Robin, I really think that you should do something like this." So that initiative has fallen into place so far.
All right. Here I give you a little about Robin, so you know who is the person we're talking. No, Robin have a history of being abused by her husband. She's a battered woman, and she spent several years into this relationship, into this marriage. So I'm going to ask Robin now. I'm going to speak to her to tell her what happened,
Well,
how this all started.
I was in college, and this guy, I was in a photography class with one of my instructors, John Porter, and this guy would pass by the class, and when I would go in and out in the hallway, he would always speak Italian to me, and he would come and say "Buongiorno," and I go, and I just keep walking. I didn't pay him any mind because at the time I was dating this boxer, this welter boxer, who was preparing to do the Golden Globe, and so I wasn't interested because I had a boyfriend, and so he continued to pursue me more and more. And the thing that made me stop was my best friend. We became best friends because she was from Mississippi and I was from Louisiana. And those are states in the southern region in the United States. So we established this sisterhood because we were in the college. And since we were coming from that area, we bonded and we shared a lot of things together. She left college, she had gotten pregnant, and I remained. And so when the guy continued to talk to me every morning, I thought it was her baby's father. So when he asked me, did I know her? And I was like, oh, wow, yeah, this makes sense. So I stopped to talk to him. And that's how I started talking to him.
All right, hold on, Miss Morton. Let's check what is happening on the screen. Okay, Bebito and more said, Love Ice, send me. I want to say, big up yourself, Bebito and more. That tune, yes, on the screen we have Sophia White said, Love does not come with beating. Love does not come with beating.
Yeah, it doesn't. Right.
Okay. Sasha British said, Night, everyone. Dark tune, British. Dark tune. We are here with Robin White Morton. Shads and Sher said, Hey. So Shads and Sher saying hi to us. Yes. So I said, enough respect to Shads and Sher. And thank you so much to come on the Love and the Talk Show Telly. Love Ice TV, where is the thumbs up? Guts, come on. So, thumbs up, no man. Share out the thing, man. Yes, man. Like up the live, man, and share it out, man. Yes, man. And if you're not subscribed, you can do so now. Yeah, man. Subscribe now. Sasha Beauty said, sometime love blind, you know. Nice story, though.
Oh.
I don't think it's a nice story. This, I guess you don't hear what is going to happen later on.
No. Actually, um, once 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 the door was open, when he said buongiorno, the next day when I saw him, I said buongiorno back, which is like good morning, and he had.
All right, don't go next with it. I'm going to start acknowledge these people. Like up the live, share it out if you can. Blessing everyone in the chat. Sasha British, big up yourself. People, like up the live and share it out. Yeah, man. Like up the live and share it out. Yeah. Dark tune current. Dark tune. Dark tune. Dark tune. Yes. So, we are still on the screen. Trudy Hines said thumbs up. She said hi, waving to us. Trudy Hines, waving to us. She's saying hi.
Hi.
Yes. People, this is Robin White Morton. all the way from Louisiana to Jamaica to share her story and battered woman. She also write a book which will tell you about it later. Yes, Robin White, continue.
So I went through college. I was soon to graduate that year. And the story is very long, but I'm trying to speed it up because I think you want to get to the grit of the story. Well, school ended. I graduated. I had to stay over um, for like, I had to stay over and take a class for 2 weeks. Weeks that I stayed over, I stayed at my ex-husband's mother's house because when we were in college, it was a snowy day, and so he didn't go home that day. I said, "Why don't you stay with me in the dorm?" So he stayed with me that evening, and then like all of us, we were like all my friends, their boyfriends were staying, blah 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 blah. So one thing led to another. So he would stay sometimes, and he'd go because of the weather and stuff. And in St. Louis, when it snows, it really snows. It really snows, right? And so he ended up staying. And then later, when I had to stay over for the 2 weeks, since he stayed with me in the dorm, his mother allowed me to stay at their home because I was only going to be there for 2 weeks. Though my godmother asked me not to stay with them, I stayed anyway. And I think that's when I really made my mistake, when I chose not to stay with mommy and daddy because I could have. And I opted to stay at his mother's home. I probably should have made another decision. Well, one thing led to another. We made a decision that we were going to go to New Orleans because since I was studying in the conservatory, my goal was to go to New York and do Broadway. Okay. That didn't happen. I ended up in New Orleans 2 weeks after graduating from college. I brought the guy home. My mother told me that since you brought him home, you can't bring a guy home to my house like this over my daughter because I have I have my siblings. Okay, I have 5 sisters and a brother, and so what happened was I brought the guy home and I didn't ask my parents. And the school that I attended was like it was predominantly white. It was but they had some of us that was there. So all the white kids were bringing their boyfriends home. So I'm like, hey, I'm bringing my boyfriend home. I'm going to bring him home, right? Since I stayed at his house. But with my bringing him home, I think it was my worst decision because I was supposed to go to New York and we were going to stay together in New Orleans. And he was going to get to know New Orleans. We're going to work and get an apartment. And I would go to New York and he would go back to St. Louis. That's how it was supposed to be. But my mother told me, since I brought him home, that I was going to marry him. She told me that I had to marry him since I brought him home. And of course, the neighbors were like, Mary has that girl with that boy in the house. So the neighbors had started to talk. And my mother wasn't happy about that. And that was part of the thing that I had to marry him. I was not pregnant or anything.
So, were you in love with this guy?
No.
So, how the marriage get involved? How the marriage come there? Why would you marry somebody you're not in love?
Well, my mother, this is really odd because my ex-husband reminded my mother of her ex-husband. So you're gonna make me cry. So my mother was like reliving her life through me, right? And then she was trying to show me at the same time. Like it was like a hard lesson, right? But if you brought him home, when the option could have been was to send him back where he came from. Then my boxer me not to marry the guy, right? And I was like, this is a whole moment.
So you love the boxer?
Yeah, I did.
I didn't love this guy. Just brought him home because
we were just going to share because we was just kind of like I stay with you in St. Louis, you stayed at college. we're going to go to New Orleans. You get to know New Orleans. For the summer, we hang out, we stay in an apartment together, get jobs, blah, 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 blah. But we didn't have a chance to implement the plan because my mother's like, in 2 weeks, you're getting married.
Nothing.
I mean, like, I had slept with him. Yes, I had slept with him. Yeah.
Not to say.
No, no, I wasn't trying to marry. Yeah. Because I was going to really marry the boxer, believe it or not. Yeah. Even though I was doing all those things, I knew I would marry the boxer. Right. And so, but when he kept calling, the pressure from my mother, I was like, no, I'm not going to marry. But anyway, when my mother took me to my cousins and they picked out the wedding dress and all that, I was crying, like profusely crying, like I didn't want to marry this guy. And I looked at my cousin and my cousin says, I'm not going to mess with Auntie Mary Lee because when Auntie says something, that's it. So I was like reaching out, crying, picking out a wedding fabric and all this other stuff and going through the motion. Yeah, so.
All right, you married this guy.
6 months, my father died. My great protector dies, right? The person I could go to. But while my father was alive, he never was rude or anything like that. And soon after my father died, he started fighting. I was going to my mother's. I was going to go across the bridge to use the phone by the Pizza Hut to call my mother to tell her that I was going to come over that day. And so when I went out to try and leave, he was saying, you're not going anywhere. I said, yes, I am. I'm going to my mother because I've always been very strong-willed, very independent, very assured of myself, knowing what I want because you make a decision, you set it and you do it. You know, It doesn't take a whole lot of thought. It just takes the action part. So I'm very action oriented and centered. And so being empowered as a woman, as a person, and being liberated growing up, having the liberty to say pretty much what I wanted to say and let my voice be heard because we were always able to speak in my home. There was no limit there. Well, the fighting started on that day, right? And my husband was a habitual cheater, which I didn't cheat on him, but he was cheating on me. My ex-husband.
You went to the phone to call your mother. What happened?
Well, I could never get to the phone. Oh. I never left the house. The fighting just started. Oh. Because when I went to go out the door, I was pulled back in. And so we struggled and I was still trying to go out because we were in a new apartment, so we didn't have a phone at the time. So I was trying to go out to get to the phone to let my mother know I was coming. He was working as a car salesman, and opposed to doing the work as a car salesman, he was spending his time with other people.
So did he hit you?
Yes, he did. Mm-hmm.
What up?
Well, you're going to make me cry. I'm trying. Listen, guys, I've lived my life I stayed in this marriage for like 10 years because of my beliefs, my spiritual beliefs, because I felt I was supposed to be there. And my mother told me that couples fight, which that's not what I saw between she and my father. So for her to tell me that couples fight, I didn't understand that part. So all of the teaching and the balance that I had of being empowered as a woman just disappeared when my mother said couples fight. She basically said, stay in your marriage, things are going to work out. Just kind of stay there, blah, blah, blah. It's just a fight. But it wasn't just a fight because he fought me so long and so hard on that day that the smell of his body, his scent, he began to smell like a wild animal. Like that, a smell that I will never forget, and something that was really, really different to me. And then he fought me so long that I couldn't talk. When I was talking to him, all of a sudden I only heard gibberish. When I heard my voice, though the sound was audible, I was speaking in gibberish. You
All
know,
right. So the first time you fight was the child father. That was the first time
that
you
was the
fight.
first time.
And then how did you guys make it back? Why you're not believe?
My mother told me to stay, and I stayed.
Okay. I want to.
Well, he was going out doing whatever he wanted to do instead of going to work. He wasn't making any money. I found a job, and when I found my job, I was the one carrying the weight of the house, like taking care of everything. And then he brought home a check for like $1, right? He had been at work all week and he brought home this check for $1. And it was just like, he was trying to apologize to me, but how could you make money when you're not there to do sales? When you're out with someone else,
Okay,
right?
it was cheating.
Yeah, he was. He kind of did whatever he wanted to do, you know. And but I was always very supportive because that's what I mean. If you marry someone and you're with that person, you're supposed to be supportive. If they have projects, blah 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 blah. Because he was a photographer, also, as I had studied, my background is also in photography and mass communication as well. And he wanted a photography studio. So I bought all the equipment, he set up everything, got the rent, paid the rent, the deposit and all this stuff. So when I paid for everything, I don't know where I was getting this money from. That's what's so interesting. But if the need was there, I would just pay for whatever we needed, whatever was needed because it was family,
So
right?
you was working.
I was, yeah, yeah. But I was working, he wasn't working, but he wanted a photography studio, so I just paid for everything. We were scouting and looking around and found all this great dark room material, and that's when the dark room was the big thing in doing everything from scratch. And so I paid for that. However, after paying for that, it's like within a month, he had taken all of his stuff out and he left after I paid. He moved into his studio. Okay. And so it was like, wow, this is pretty interesting. And so I stopped paying for it. And so when I stopped paying for it, he ended up like on the street. So he eventually came back, right? So with it just
So hold
was,
on, you leave
yes.
and the speaker owner.
I can't remember how long it was.
So it was by yourself in the house.
Yeah.
So why never tried to leave that time when they speak? Why never tried to leave those
Why
things?
did I never? He was at the studio. So he was living at the studio and I was living at our apartment. So I was at the home base and he was at the business. But he came and he took all of his things like and he was moving. He moved out. He totally moved out. So he was sleeping with the models and all that stuff like that. So it's like, okay, fine. So it's like this is where we are. But I just stayed in my mind that my mother said that couples fight and that you're supposed to stay together. So I'm trying to figure out how to work through this.
That we got him but they complained for her that this guy is abusing you. And she said couples fight over home.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But I think to say for you.
Yeah, but the worst part for me is that I wasn't pregnant or anything. That was because people normally get married because they're pregnant or something like that. But that wasn't my case. You know, I had trained to do something. I had a future before me and enter a guy, right? And that's the things that parents probably fuss at with their daughters, you know, their kids. Like you have this trajectory and all of a sudden you're thrown off course because another person may come into your life.
Tell me about the party. I went to a party one night and when I came back home, what had happened?
My friend from college, we were like sisters. That's my godparents. Um, there was this Halloween party and the group Vanity Six, they wore like lingerie and men jackets and stuff with the hat and all that. And we were very tall. Both of us were tall and thin with long legs because she was a dancer, you know, and we had pretty much the same body frame. But to make a long story short, when I came home with her. Um, from our apartment, we were coming through the alley, and he was.
Hold on. Hey, Bibito, I see you. I hope you, let's say, welcome to Talk True Telly. I see that you're new around here. Big up yourself. Yes. Paulette Green from Portland, the Swift River, saying good night, Talk Shoot. Good night, Paulette Green. Talk Shoot, Paulette Green. Talk Shoot. Yes, Paulette Green. Thanks for coming through. The Art of Love. Thanks for coming through. Talk Shoot Telly. The Art of Love president is here. Enough respect. Enough respect. The topic is battered woman tell someone. We are talking to Robin White Morton. She telling her truth about being battered. Yes. Twin Jervises. Night, night, everyone. Good night. Respect. Yes. Continue.
I
Vanity Six. You're dressed like Vanity Six.
Oh, we were like dressed like Vanity Six. It was one of our FM radio stations had thrown a party. My friend was coming in from St. Louis, which is where I studied in the conservatory. So she gets there. We're on our way. He sees me. He sees what I have on, and so he grabs me and he just starts fighting. Right, and every time he'd fight me, he would always hit me to my body. Right. So if he's punching me to my body, no one can't see that, right? So I can say, well, he did this to me, he did that to me, but you can't see anything because it's under my clothes, right? So he was very, very, very clever, and he had this super IQ also. So he was very, very, and he was also a sharpshooter. He was super, super smart. Okay, so he knew exactly what he was doing. As a matter of fact, part of the story, we're jumping to Vanity Six, but at that point, my girlfriend disappears, the neighbor's screaming. He comes out with a 357 Magnum to shoot my ex-husband, and I'm like screaming, not because he's going to shoot him. He's beating on me as if like I'm a rag doll or something like that. So I'm sorry. Just bear with me for a second because this is like hard to talk about because this is not what I talk about. This is not a subject that I revisit. As a matter of fact, I spent over 30 some years pushing it down because it's not a part of the happy part of my life. And I like being up as much as I can. It's important to find joy wherever you can find it. So that night, he drags me inside, and the neighbor wants to kill him because he's heard him fighting me for months, right? And it's like, this is a nice girl. I don't know what is wrong with this guy, blah, 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 blah. So the neighbor said he told me he was going to kill him. And people had started asking me if what did I want to do? Because they wanted to get rid of him. Because they knew me. They knew me since I was very, very young growing up. So they knew my personality and my persona and all this. So they wanted to protect me because they knew I didn't grow up with that in my life. Well, he takes me inside. We struggle and finally we're inside. And at the time, guys, please don't think that I'm trying to take all of this because I've never really had a fight with a person before. You know, you struggle with your siblings and stuff like that, but that's not a fight. That's just like you're with your siblings and you're moving about and you're doing what you do, right? Well, he gets me inside and I'm always trying to leave. Never really the fight, but just trying to get out of the situation, you know, because I think it's always best to remove yourself from the situation. So I'm trying to get out of the situation. So he grabs me, and he takes me and he's like the shake and the punch. And he slings me around and he takes me and he slams me up. I'm standing up in the bed. So he slams me up against the wall. I'm in my first trimester. I'm pregnant.
Pregnant?
Yes. So I'm on the wall and my body hits the wall and I'm like this. I have like this gush and I'm pushed back to the wall. And so I finally get away from him. And when I go to the bathroom, so I've lost the baby, it passed, right? So I see all this blood in the toilet, and I know, and I'm looking, right? So what I do is I just flush the toilet, and then I try and get away from it. So the next morning, I was like bleeding, so I ended up in the hospital. So I was in the hospital, and I remember my mother and my sisters were there. So, and he was there, and he was like kneeling beside the bed, looking at me, knowing that if I called the police, that he would go to jail, right?
So why were you here?
I guess he was putting on a show. Yeah. And so I'm sorry. So sorry guys.
Okay, people, she's getting emotional. It's not an easy story to talk about. You know, this female is a battered woman. She was abused, and she was in this relationship for about 10 years. And being obedient to her mother, she kept telling her hopeless fight, all because they want to keep the relationship going. Everything to keep the relationship. And that's what really happened here. So tonight, after 30 something years, she finally decided to tell her story. And she still doesn't understand how she get me to have her talk in this story. But talk through tell it. That is why we are here, to tell the truth. And it is okay not to be okay. It is okay not to be okay. And sometimes when you tell your story, take a big load off your chest.
My family, um, and my immediate family, with my siblings. Well, my ex-husband was a beautiful man, you know. He was very tall. He looked very much like James Earl Jones when he was young. You know, he was built like him and all. And one of his goals was to be Mr. America, because I remember when he would tell me, don't lay beside him and don't lean on him, because if I leaned on him and his vanity, he said his body would shift and it would throw his body off, and grooming and stuff like that. So anyway, um, I had a son earlier, because we did skip that part when we planned our children, you know, because he wanted a son. After the fighting, I guess it's like, let's have a baby. I want a son, you know, blah blah blah. So I wasn't pregnant. We planned to have a son, you know, and so he was my husband, right, and I was being a wife, right. So we had the son, and the night, one evening, when my son, who's no longer with us, he died when he was 28 in a head-on car collision. Um, he was crying. He was a baby, right? And so I would get up and take care of Albert, but his father didn't want to get up and take care of him, right? And so one evening I had asked him to get up, to please get up and feed the baby. and he wanted to fight instead of getting up. So he started fighting with me, and I had the baby, and I was trying to feed the baby, and he just started fighting. And so while he was fighting me, and I put the baby down, he grabbed this 2x4 and he started beating me with the 2x4 in the corner like I was an animal. So he was like, and my neighbor, the baby was months old. Yeah.
You sure his father was that sick?
Now, I don't know, so he asked to have the baby, and I had our son, who I loved very dearly, but he was like hitting me with one stick. It was like hit, and it was poking me with the other. So I was screaming and crying, and the neighbors could hear. And then I called my mother, and all of my siblings came. My sisters came, sticks and all sorts of stuff. And I lived upstairs. So when I opened the door, they like rammed the door open.
Hold it right here. I want to see what your siblings, oh my God, I hope they do something that I want them to do. Okay. Vibes with Sarah. My people, if you want to ask Robin any question, you can just post a question on the screen and she will answer your question. Robin White, she came all the way from Louisiana here to Jamaica to tell her story. This happened to her many years, and the first time she speaks this story publicly. Top truth, youth! Top truth! Vibes with Sarah. Remember, this program deals with the truth and nothing but the truth. And as you can see, she gets emotional because she only can speak the truth, and that is what she's here to tell. Sophia White, just know that you are a strong woman despite it all. She said, thank you, Sophia. That truth! Yes. As I said to you, she traveled all the way to come here to Jamaica. So we as Jamaicans, we are here to embrace her. Talk through telly, subscribers and viewers, we are here to embrace her. You can embrace her by liking up the live, subscribe, share, send the question on. She will answer you. Love Eyes TV, write this up. So if you have any question at all, you can always post them on the screen and your answer will be right here waiting on you. Sasha Boo Diva, good night. Good night, Sasha Boo Diva.
So my siblings came, and they were coming up, they were coming up the stairs, and they were ready to destroy him. And stop. I stopped them. I told them, I said, that's my children's father. But that's not why I stopped them. Part of why I stopped them was because it would become a joke. It would become more painful to keep hearing them tell me what they did. And because I know it's like, I had a fight, you got beat up, right? So that was difficult. And as a matter of fact, I think last year was they just stopped getting humor out of it because I was like sincere. I'm like, this is not funny. Like, well, because I have siblings, when girls get together, they talk about things and their experiences and what guys did. But it was so unfamiliar to me for someone to fight me because I had a father who loved me, and I had my parents in place, and it was just like, this doesn't make sense. I don't understand. I didn't understand any of this. It was very perplexing to me. So I kept trying to decipher what was actually happening. And I could never understand that.
Okay. All right. You said stop. On the screen, Sasha Boo said, you said because he's your child, he's your children's father, right?
Right.
Sasha Boo said, but he never look at you as him child's mother.
I never thought about that.
Sasha Boo, you can't he's and she said,
I apologize. I never thought about that. But I did know that there was jealousy there. There was also, I did know that there was some jealousy there because of what I was doing as an artist. So I had to contend with that, even though he was doing his photography and I was doing my acting work, there was still some dissension there. So because he told me that he would bite me in my face to make sure I would never be able to be on screen and you ever, ever, ever in life, and that no one would ever look at me again. So that told me where his head was. So then he had this friend, I think this guy's name was John or something, I'm not sure, that he was spending time with this guy. And so I went to the people to report that I thought he was gay at the time, right?
what?
Yeah, because I remember him trying on one of my skirts, you know, and stuff like that. So it was just like, I don't think I was the problem. I think he had his own issues that
Sophia White said,
he is still alive. And but several people wanted to kill him, even the priests.
sorry.
So people wanted to kill him. I said that before, but again, I would say I don't want to be a part of someone being murdered. You know, I didn't want blood on my hands, you know, and I just felt that I brought him home, right?
She get emotional.
I'm sorry.
All right, let's stop. All right, she's emotional again. It's a hard story to talk about. Keisha Coley said, talk short and the chat. Much love. Hello? So, enough respect, Keisha Coley. And it's nice to be here with us. We are here with Robin White Morton, and she's sharing a really, really hard story. Something happened to her. She was an abused wife. She was a battered wife, and she stood in it for 10 long years. She was beaten with two before. This man hit her that she lost her child, admitted in hospital. And he came to the hospital. But why he came there is not because he was sorry. He came to pull off a show. Sashibu Diva, Eki.
He said, I think he didn't want to go to jail. He didn't want to go to jail in Louisiana because he grew up in Mississippi, and with racism and all that stuff, he didn't know what type of experience he would have there. But to this day, I still don't understand hate. It agitates me. It makes me very angry and upset because I still can't understand the hate part of life. And I don't ever want to understand. I pray that the Lord never allows me to understand hate because there's too much love to give. When you can love, why hate? You know. So that's part of my story. Sometimes things happen in life where there are prerequisites, you know, but sometimes no matter how hard it is, because it was very hard for me, but I felt that I brought him home. You know, my mother, knowing my parents, you know, I knew my parents, but I still brought him because I thought my mother would give me the grace to get a job in an apartment and redo what we had to do to get the place like we had planned. But I didn't know that he looked so much like my mother's ex-husband that it fueled her in such it fired her up in such a way that she wanted to live through me vicariously.
But something, all right, you remind her of her ex-husband. I don't want to be rude, but I think you should be more interested in him than trying to keep you. Because you remind her of her ex-husband. And because you remind her of him, she rather you to stay in abuse just to suit her feelings.
Correct. Hmm.
And that was so wrong.
I think it was wrong. And then my mother told me, she told me she was glad that that happened.
Your mom did that. Why? Why you think something like
I guess I loved my father so much, and I just felt he could do nothing wrong, you know. And she just,
that? Let me ask you, if your father was alive, this would never. Because as soon as your father died, all this started. People, I did a Father's Day program, and I tell people, girl child, father. The mother cannot do the father's job. The father cannot do the mother's job. Woman, stop take your children away from the father for personal reasons. Stop trying to be the superwoman to raise a child by yourself. Once the father wants to be in the child's life, don't care what problem you and this man have. Allow the child have a relationship with the father. There is things that you can do to make sure he do his part. And I know you all know what to do. If you don't know, I will tell you. But there are things people can do. Henrik Vogel, my vice president for the Art of Love. Yes, monsieur. No, your mother, after she allow you to be in this, because
yeah.
of your obedience, she turn around and say, "Happy." How can a woman glad someone abuse her child, beat her?
My mother used to beat me all the time.
What if she beat her? I know that it's wrong, but why she want a man to put his hand on?
I think I have, because I had some different I made different choices than my siblings growing up. I grew up, I was like a child star in my city. And so even I started young, because I was at the university when I was 14 years old. So I've always been in that environment. And I've always been in really good, nice environments, right? Where there was a lot of culture and stuff like that, and good opportunities and wealth. So, but my siblings, right? I had that opportunity. He's one today. I remember telling her, I apologized. I said, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to disrespect you this, but I'm going to go. And I did. And I think it was one of the best decisions that I made. And then she, in turn, agreed with me that I, even though I was 14 and I made a decision, that it was the best one that I had for myself.
Let me see. All your kids are your ex.
Yeah, they
Oh
were
my.
both planned. I had the one I lost from the domestic violence. My daughter Janine, I lost her, and my son who died in the head-on car collision. I lost him, and now I have Joshua. That's our last.
Redied?
Yeah.
Wow. So tell me something. Um, I really want to know, how did you get out of this relationship?
Well, I remember when he left the first time, I just felt so alone. And that's another thing with domestic violence. You always feel like you're by yourself, but you're by yourself anyway, you know? And then I had to, when he left, I just was just terrified because I had the children. I was by myself. And after my mother said what she said, I didn't really have the support I thought I was going to have with from anyone. So I was going through this kind of by myself, but I was getting through it through prayer and supplication, because I always had my church family, which was an extension of my life.
Mhm.
And so I got out. I remember when he left one time and he wanted to come back, he'd say, I love you. And every time he'd say, I love you, I say, I love you back. I'd tell him I loved him, and then I'd go back. We get back together, right? Like most women do who were victims of domestic violence. It's like a revolving door. You're in and you're out, and you're trying to decipher and understand and figure out your life, find a balance and all this stuff. And then eventually you something will click. And it took me almost 10 years for it to click, right? And the first thing that happened for me was realizing that even though I was worried about being by myself, I was already by myself. So when I came to that realization that I was by myself, it gave me more strength. Then um, when he told me I love you, and every time he said I love you, we get back together.
Okay.
Right? Because I figured everything would be okay based on the things that, even though the story was crazy and the police came to the house so much, they said, next time we come, you're both going.
Oh.
So my family would call every time he speeding with the car, and he tried to have a wreck with me in the car with him one time. And he just,
Cool. Yes, Kendrick, I realize that. But at the Wi-Fi, I get like a problem. Wi-Fi. Talk Truth Youth! Talk Truth! Yes, you're watching Talk Truth Telly, and we are speaking with Robin White Morton from Louisiana, currently living in Alabama. And she's here to tell her truth about being a battered woman. Vice TV, welcome each and every one of you. I do appreciate you all for coming. Respect, Lovice. Thanks for your concern about bigging up the people for coming. Yeah? Enough respect. Remember, if you have a question to ask Robin White Morton, post on the screen and she will gladly answer you. Such a believer. You strong mama. Coming like you are one Jesus disciple them. Because no way, no man I go beat me and me stop my family from dirting. I wouldn't tell what dirt means. From dirting. That's a question.
Okay.
That's what she's referring to you. Speak to her.
Why did I stop?
Sashibu.
Okay. I was trying to deviate a bit. Part of that was because my family would tease so much, and that was to be teased throughout my entire life was like much more burdensome for me than it would have been for them to act out against him. It was too much. I was always already carrying the load of the fighting, and then to get it from him, and then to have them to do whatever they wanted to do, and then to hear it, to keep hearing that. So I'm getting it on both sides. So for me, I took responsibility for a situation that I put myself in by bringing him home. And then I later realized that I didn't have to, but you have to mature to that level to know and get educate yourself about what your rights are and stuff like that, because I went in strong, but I respected my mother and I stayed. And had my mother had agreed with my decision, because I was going to get an annulment, because we were had been married 6 months, which we could have had an annulment and all this other stuff, and I could have walked out of the marriage.
Okay, so Sashibu, what she's saying is that her sisters, they would want to do things to have something over her to say, oh yes, you're supposed to beat and we have to come and defend you. So she rather not them to defend her. The HC family, that truth, big up yourself. And as I said, any question, direct it to Robin White Morton and she will answer you. Yes.
When our son died,
Kenneth Bogle. So why you stay for 10 years? You didn't have anywhere to go? Kenneth Bogle. That's it.
no, I didn't have anywhere.
She's emotional against people.
When I was pregnant with my daughter, my family didn't want to feed me. So whatever I did, I tried to do it by myself. And I remember going to Mrs. Collins, and um, I went when I came home from St. Louis, because he tried to kill me when I was there. When I was in St. Louis, he choked me, choked the life out of me. And I realized that I was faint and I wasn't breathing. And he realized he was killing me, and he released me, then he ran out of the house. And so I called my mother and asked her to ask my brother to please come and get me.
So Kenrick, she called her mom to call her brother to come and get her. But as she tell us, her mother said, after all these times, she happy she got beaten. Sophia White said, it's still not too late for his jail time.
Well,
Sophia.
I I think my best thing that I did was write this book on battered women tell somebody, to help other people, because you're really not alone. I mean, a lot of people stay because of finances. They stay because they don't have another place to go to, and they stay because they love that person. They stay for their children. You know, they stay for various reasons, and they stay because they don't have a skill set that they go to the next level in order to stabilize themselves. But fortunately for me, and to be able to get a house, get a car, put my children in the right places and stuff like that.
All right, we never finished speak about how you actually get out of.
Oh, I got out because every time he said, I love you, I would go back. And then I realized what I was doing. And so one evening, when we had had a fight, he called me and he said he wanted to come back. And he told me that he loved me. And I said, thank you. So he said, I love you. And I said, thank you. I answered him. I didn't say I love you back. He says, I love you. I said, thank you. Because I knew if I said I love you, I would go back.
Okay.
So he said, I love you. I said, thank you. And he realized I kept saying thank you. No matter when he called, every time he called, he'd say, I love you, blah, blah, blah. I say, thank you. And thank you, the word thank you gave me the strength to stand up until I was able to get out. And a friend of mine who was an attorney, I went to him and I told him what had happened. I was ready to move on with for my divorce. And my mother, if you would have only waited another of his benefits. And I'm like, you're my mother. I don't know anything about the law. All I had to do, he wasn't there. All you had to do was say, wait another month and then go to the attorney and you could get his social security, you could get his military benefits, you could get all of that. So
You get the best thing, peace of mind.
yeah, thank you.
That's bigger than even the benefits.
Yeah, I think you're
But
right.
it's time to go. It's
Yeah.
time to go.
Yeah.
How much years now since
Well,
you guys
it's
split?
been it's been um it's been over 30 years now, but
Okay.
it's always fresh. It's always fresh. And I think it's fresh because I found other ways to deal with it, which meant that I don't have to live like I know I don't have to live like that with anyone.
You still love him?
No, that's been gone, long gone and over.
Does it affect you now? I mean, not that we're talking about it, but since the the separation, you like you think you waste so many years in your life?
I just think life is a learning lessons. There are so many lessons that we learn. And this is what happened for me. As soon after I signed my papers for my divorce, I met my husband who passed that I had for 30 years.
Okay.
So I always say with my ex-husband that my ex-husband was a prerequisite for me, for my new husband, because it taught me so much.
Sasha Boo said she can go and Ina fix my life.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I guess maybe after 30 years, I think your life is fixed. Huh? Okay, so
I
maybe
mean,
after 30
we
years,
always have things, I see I just believe God, you know. I don't believe in magic. I believe in miracles. And I believe that when I met my ex, my after getting away from my ex-husband and meeting my new husband of 30 years who was the love of my life. And
look who's on the screen, Michelle Parker. Michelle Parker, that's the one who does the design like you.
really,
That's Michelle Parker. She said,
okay.
you are a phenomenal woman, and I commend you for your strength.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Michelle, that's Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I just want to be good to other people and help other women and men. You know, men are also abused as well. And I wish that I could just make a difference in their life based on what I've experienced.
People, we are here with Robin White Morton from Louisiana, currently living in Alabama. And she has been through abused. She's a battered woman for 10 years. Now she's out of it. And since this happened to her, is the first time she go public to speak about it. Several times she becomes emotional doing this interview. I am telling you, she's a strong woman. Like up the live, share it out. If you don't subscribe, subscribe now. This is Talk Truth Telly. Talk Truth, people! Talk Truth! Talk Truth! Talk Truth! In the life of Dolly. Good night, host and co-host and chat. As I said, if you have a question, or if you have something that you want to speak, if you have something that you want to speak to Robin White Morton about, post on the screen. And I'm telling you, she will answer you. Thank you, Dolly, to share out live. And all my friends, subscriber, remember, press the like button. Yeah, man. Love Ice TV say, choose Sashibu. Me not stopping them from deal with him.
My I remember when my daughter died, my oldest sister, who's no longer with us now, she told me that I needed to be back with my husband. Um, so no matter what I did, my family kept sending me back to him. No matter what happened, I was like director of a neighborhood community center. And it was my son and I was pregnant with our daughter, Janae Chenier at the time. And Janae passed months later after I had her. And my ex-husband came to so I ended up with him again, right? My oldest sister told me. But she was married to her husband. Like her husband was an assistant principal and she worked for the phone company for many, many years, you know, and so their family was solid. So she's like, you need to be with your husband. You just lost your daughter, blah, 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 blah. So I ended up with him again. Then I ended up splitting with him. And I had one of my friends come to change the locks. And when the guy came to change the locks, in between that time, my ex-husband came and stole my son, right? And so I called the police and I was like so frantic, right? Because I didn't know what had happened to my son. All I knew, Albert was gone, right? And so when the police came and he talked to the police, they were chummy. And I never called the police for him ever again. I just got away from him.
Okay. Love Ice TV said, girl, you're strong. God is by your side.
Love I said was God.
Sashibu said, Sashi is just there with you. Sashibu said, me I deal with them myself. Love Ice, now wait on them.
I just never, you know, I've been such a student, not a student of life. I was just a student of books. So life was going around me. And so I've always had my head in a book and I was trying to do all the right things all the time, you know, and just respect my elders and my parents, my mother, my father, my aunts, you know, just trying to do all the right things. Because your parents say, go to school, do all the right things, get a good education, and you know, your life will be wonderful, right? But they didn't tell me about all those little nicks and nats that came in between that, right? Because I'm not a street person. So I didn't have that street smarts. I had the book stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can read the screen. That's a question directly.
One thing they can't stay for is to keep living. So the other things that made them stay did not worth risking life. It's very interesting that she would respond in that manner because I never thought about things. I just thought about caring for what was before me because I had become a mother. So my thing was to keep my family together, you know, the children. That was my goal. And to not start the lineage of them having their father in jail. And that's part of why the jail thing didn't come up. I didn't want to have to keep taking my children to the jailhouse to see their father, and opposed to just getting the police involved in all that. What I did, my ex-husband's family had a history of abusing their wives. I later found that out when I lived in Mississippi. So I had stepped into a bee's nest and didn't even know it. And the grandmother was happy when my ex-husband would fight me. And he was fighting me when I was pregnant, when I was in Mississippi, when I wanted to go to town one evening.
Chinook Lady D said, hello talk shoot. Hello talk shoot guests and chat. Yes, Lady D, enough respect. I am happy to see you and my life. Welcome you once more. In life of Dolly say, thanks for coming, Sash. Thank you, Dolly, for thanking Sash for coming. Just like up the live and share it out. Like it up, share it out. And if you don't subscribe yet, do so now. Sashibu Diva said it will help with the trauma. Sashibu Diva said it will help with the trauma.
She's right.
This is Jamaica, and Jamaican woman doesn't do well with man abusing them. No. So when you see them talk that way to you, them just assure you them feel them heart goes out for you. So when you hear Sashibu tell you say, oh, she upset. Yeah, and she don't like what happened. So if you listen to the tone of how them talk, they're on the live, so they keep it under a certain manner, but they're really upset with what this man has done to you.
Well, he did remarry, and he did that. He tried to fight his new wife, and she pulled a butcher knife out on him, and he never tried anymore after that.
It's your girl Anna said, oh my God, that is a lot for one person. You're a wonderful woman. You're strong.
Thank you.
That's Anna K said that to you.
Thank you, Anna.
So, as I'm saying to you, in this chat, there's a lot of Jamaican persons in it, and that's how they express themselves. Nobody likes that. Nobody wants that for their family or their friends. Love Ice TV, welcome, Lady D, and thank you for coming on. Yes, people, talk through telly, and this station, and this telly, we talk nothing but the truth. And if you are coming to bend the truth, to edit the truth, it makes no sense. You sit and do an interview with Joseph Curran. It's your girl, Anna K. I don't mean to disrespect the dead, but I hate your sister for tell you to go back to a man like that. I am trying to be as calm as possible, but I would set him up.
Gosh, guys, you're making me cry. Since my husband died,
they love you. The viewers, they love you. I'm telling you.
I love them too.
And they just want to comfort you.
Since my husband died, I have this underlying fear that my ex-husband will show up. And before my husband died, I was telling him, I said, sweetheart, I have a feeling that Al might come back if you die and tell me I'm his wife. And then he would try to start and impose on me and stuff like that. So
it's your girl Anna K. She's back again on the screen. She said, that's too much for you to go through.
I think that's why I'm a loner, as I can take care of me by me. Yeah, so I can be good to me without being damaged and letting other people damage me. So I've learned how to be very much a solo person because of that. Yeah, but I thank God for loving me enough to keep me, because I believe that he kept me for a reason. And I believe that one of the good things that I'm proud of, most proud of, is that I said I would never let another man stop me from loving another man because he was so rotten and cruel. You know, I said I'd never allow anything or anyone to stop me from loving another person. Sometimes,
It's your girl, Anake. She said, "You're a beautiful woman. He should respect and love you and not abuse you. I wish him bad."
right.
Anake, she's just there for you.
Thank you, Anna Kay. Um, I just don't fight. I'll fuss. I'll fuss a lot. I will really fuss, but I'll never fight. Yeah, I would never fight, but I will always fuss. Yeah. Well,
Sashi Boo said his mother would have buy a black film long time. Oh, I forget. Maybe my acting is too deep. Sashi Boo said his mother would buy black long time. Sometimes when you get carried away, I come with that thick accent. Oh,
my his mother, when I stayed at the house after we had the children, I was um had an opportunity to go to California to be in movies and stuff, and he wouldn't take care of the children. So I had a screen test for Hollywood Pictures and I had to cancel it.
okay.
Yeah.
Sashi Boo said, what she mean by she think you want to come back? When you said you were with your ex-husband and he was saying,
Yeah.
so they said, what you mean think you want to come back?
Because he had that type of personality.
You know what they mean, listener?
Yeah.
You should never even think about come back where. That is what.
That I know. What I'm saying is that he was such the person that he would be bold enough to come and push up on me to to come back as if he's a part of my life, right?
Sophia White said, please come live in Jamaica.
Somebody won't let me. So
She said somebody won't let her. Oh well. Um, yes. So that's what
well,
Sophia White
Jamaica
said.
feels like home. I love it here. It's my most favorite place in the whole wide world. And it's like, it's something about Jamaica for me. It's like everything that I've ever loved in my entire life is here. And it's like home.
You see your girl on the case said, don't cry, sweetheart. Don't give him no power. You're strong. You're beautiful. Stay strong and positive. If he tries anything, still stand up to him and let him know you're a different woman mentally.
Yeah. I remember at the funeral.
Hold on. And okay, here you have boots of the woman. I hope if anything happen, you come by her side. Because me hear your boots are up, you know. That truth and okay. That truth. Yeah, that's what he said. You could answer.
Mm-hmm. I when our son died, I remember at the funeral, when he was being buried, after everything was over, he came to my husband. My ex-husband came to my husband and thanked him for raising his son and told him he did a fine job with him. And then he apologized to me for all the things that he had done. And I was like, so I was grieving for my son, and I'm like, it's okay, nothing matters. But
Yeah, and okay, said.
I'm on a new trajectory now. I have,
And okay, you know what I'm better talk plan would make sure your tear getting emotional, you be crying. Um, these persons and the life
mhm.
would make you smile.
They do. Yeah. I if you only knew what God continues to show favor in my life. Um, and I feel very, very blessed to be out of that environment. But what it has done for me is allowed me to serve a lot of people and to be good to others and to support and protect and shield other women. And
Anna Kay said, if I did Jamaica, trust me, you're gonna get mashed up like that.
mm-hmm,
Anna Kay out for your husband, ex-husband.
mm-hmm, yeah.
Anna Kay wants a piece of it. All right. Um, with all this that happened, all this, all, all the cry she cries, and the moment she goes through, she take out all of this into a book that she wrote. The book is called
Battered women, tell somebody.
Battered Woman,
Tell somebody.
Tell Somebody. What she's saying, you must never stay into an abusive relationship. You must tell somebody. Don't care what makes it, don't feel ashamed. Don't care what you tell people already. If you go hike up relationship, you say, boy, you know, see the man that treat me good and everything. But when you get out of hand, you get out of hand. See, nobody say because when tell people this, you never feel ashamed or because it's a marriage, me no want it look no way. You must tell somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give her a chance, tell her about the book, where you can get the book, and maybe the cost of the book. So what we are talking about now is just a part, a little part of what is happening. So if you read this book, you may learn more. It's your girl Anna Kay say, a dead 100, them boy they fig go. No disrespect to you, but in Jamaica, them WS.
Oh, okay.
Okay, speak about the book.
How high do I think it up here?
Hmm?
This is the book, Battered Women Tell Somebody. And it's going to be an ebook soon. It's being there's going to be a revision of the book on the Poet Laureate Publishing Company. So I guess I can come back to Talk Truth, or you could post a commercial of some sort to let people know that it'll be available. And I did one book signing in New Orleans, and I got a good response. But it's something about this book that a therapist has purchased like 30 of these books to use with a men's group that he works with. So it's been very helpful for guys, because even though the guys are being rude and ugly with the women and they're hurting and harming them, it's their issue. The men are having a self-esteem problem. It's not the woman's problem. It's their problem. Our problem is that we've taken them into our bosom and into our homes. And that's where the problem starts. Do you mind if I read something?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
You on the floor right now.
Okay. I just want to just kind of read a piece that it says to love yourself. I wrote this piece called Love Yourself by Robin White Morton. I want to think about love and live in love and dream in love. I want to have a love affair with me. I want to be what God called me to be. I want to be free in love and hug in love and touch in love and live in love. I want to be in love with me. I want to love my hips and kiss my own lips and whisper secret love songs to my soul. I want to be in love with me. I want to boldly hold myself and love myself and flaunt myself because I can, because I understand me, the me I am meant to be, with no interruptions, no one's suggestions of what or who I should be in my appointed destiny to set their observations free. I want to love me like no one else, and love and love and love and love and love myself like the rest of the world looks at me when I celebrate the soul in me. My spirit rise, 'cause I am who I want to be. Beautiful, steadfast, strong, whole, complete, from the breath of life to eternity. I celebrate inside, out, about, top of my head, with not to be loved, because God gave me the key to me, not to you or anyone else, because nobody can love you better than you can love yourself.
Sound good. Read something else for us.
Okay, give me a half a second.
You want to read about the author?
Mhm.
You want to read about the author?
No. Okay, let me see. Let me get something short. I'm trying to get something short. I apologize. Bear with me. You said this piece is called It's Not Your Fault. You said, if I would have met you a certain way or said something to you differently and stayed and laid and listened to what you said, it would not have been my fault. You fussed at me, you frowned, you talked about me bad, you kicked me and called me names, you humiliated me and made me feel ashamed. You made me mad. Your words weren't lost. You abused me. It's not my fault. You said, if I could have done things differently, if I wouldn't have said what I said, fixed the bed a little better and neater, or made your coffee a little sweeter, or changed things around so you could be more comfortable, it would not have been my fault. I didn't know. I didn't understand. I was paralyzed in deprivation, moving at your command. Perhaps it could have been better. It's something I want to forget. I'm not a dog you train at a vet. It was not my fault. You did what you did to me. It was not my fault. The signal you designed wasn't complimentary. What you observed is I believe in me. I gave myself truth and got honest with the woman I see. I tried extremely hard to understand. Being a bully doesn't make you a man. You hurt me because I couldn't read your mind. Before I met you, I was doing fine. No matter what happened, I'm doing the best I can. It's not my fault. I have no desire to function on your demands. I may not understand why all this is happening to me. It's not my fault jealousy exposed your insecurities. If I did something wrong, all we had to do was communicate in love and positivity. Kindness is not your forte. Perfection is not your chime. The revelation you foresaw came a moment too late. God did not give it to me. He gave me a plan to escape When in a relationship and it doesn't fit, it shouldn't exist. It's not my fault. I'm not the one on the receiving end of your throwing your fists like a ton of bricks. I am no longer in for whatever it takes to make it right. We've reached our peak like wisdom. Let's wisely allow our path to take separate flights. When you told me what to do, I tried to understand. You said you probably wouldn't have hit me if I would have been the right woman for you. You said picking me was the easy part of your plan. You said if I wouldn't have called you so much or touched your stuff or moved a little more, I wouldn't have tasted the floor. You said I was lucky to have you. If I would have done what you told me to do, or walked and picked the can off the counter the way you wanted me to, and put it on the table at the right time, you said you only hit me to put some understanding in my mind. You said you got mad at me in public and I was making you look bad. You said you didn't want me talking to your family, to friends or family or anyone else. Now let me tell you something. Keep your nonsense to yourself. Like I said earlier, talk is cheap. Licks don't last. Like the conversation we're having, you are a thing of the past. I refuse to listen any longer. I see an exit for myself, not through your looking glass. It's not my fault because you believe the world has made you sad. I don't want your open invitation. It's not my fault. I'll pass.
That's a nice one.
Thank you.
That is deep. That's a really nice one.
Thank you.
On the screen, Love Doctor. While they were reading, they were saying stuff on the screen,
Okay.
but I let them could read.
Okay.
Each of them could see what is happening. The way I love myself, which man can put him hands on me and still have two hands and 2 feet? He must be a ducky.
Okay.
That is love I say. That's love I say.
Thank you, Love Ice.
Let me tell you, these people in talk to telly are serious and they don't take certain things a joke. The president here, Joseph Current, who said talk truth, I am here with them and we're like a family. Now, it's your girl on the case said, if I did ever my family, every time in touch her, he lose a body part. So if I did Anna K came to the house, he would not have stopped her from deal with him case. Because she come for him. And maybe if you were the way, you'd have get knocked too. But now she would be like, why you call me here? It's your girl Anna K. Thanks be to God, you're here on. Me literally I cry. Me hate him. And me hate him and him family them.
Yeah.
So she said she's crying right now because she hate him and hate him family them.
And the family used to think it was me. And my ex-sister-in-law said, we used to always think it was you, and then she said it wasn't.
Okay, this book here now. As it is now, is it on Amazon? Where it is now as we speak? Where can somebody get maybe not this minute, but might be next month, maybe. When are you re-releasing this book?
I will re-release this book next month.
Next month.
Yeah.
So I will follow up with an interview with you
Okay.
to say the book is now released.
Yes.
And then you will tell the people where and how they can get this book to buy.
Yeah, it would actually be Amazon and Barnes and Noble when it's released.
Okay, but the people want to hear from you again when the book released. And they want to follow up with you also and what is happening because them get so close here right now, I don't know they will want to hear from you again. That's just how these people are.
Okay.
Love doctor, a man who hit a woman is indeed a coward.
Mm-hmm.
Sin this world said, just got the notification. Okay, Sin this world, we are it's Robin White Morton. She's an abused woman. She's been battered into a relationship for 10 years where she was abused by her ex-husband, and she finally got out of it after 10 years, and she wrote a book called Battered Woman Tell Somebody. Before we close the show, she'll give her word to persons who are being battered now, who are going through abuse, how to escape abuse. Maybe she stayed long enough for 10 years because she live it so she can tell you, oh, what it's like and the mistake she may have made to stay in it and never leave the very next month. Maybe people is in it for 20 years, 30, 40 years. So she can give you her word of comfort. It's your girl Anake. She said, big coward man. Him cannot manage who beat him. So he decided to take a set on her. She said he's a coward.
Yeah.
And when a man, maybe an next man like himself on the road would have rushed him to beat him, he cannot defend it.
Right.
Sashibu said, a slavery. Said he may have you in bondage as in slavery. Oh, um, he must think you're a slave. That's why he kept you
Well,
as a slave.
he said once that he would break me like I was a horse, you know. And so I think that was just to put me down, just to try and make me stay still and stuff like that.
Your girl Anake said she loved the book. She said she loved it.
Thank you.
Killer Roney players say that's deep. That's Ronaldo.
Mm-hmm.
Say that's deep.
Thank you, Ronaldo.
The book is really good. I actually enjoyed it. I'm telling
Thank
you,
you.
it's really a good book. And being that for you speak your story, then they could relate to the book
There's a song that goes with this book.
differently.
Yeah.
See in this world, the man who beat me, the man who beat me in the bonnet. Oh my God, this have me away, kiss me teeth. She said the man to beat she in the bonnet. The man to beat her
Mm-hmm.
does not mourn as yet. And this story have her away, have her by.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry about that.
That's in this world.
Mm-hmm.
It's your girl Anake. Tell me if you go. Tell me if you go now. Not chat to them. All of them are hypocrites.
Mm-hmm.
Um, hold on. So talk through telly once again with a booming interview. This interview is done with Robin White Morton. Again, she's not a Jamaican. This is her second time come to Jamaica. Her first trip, she came here because she's also an Art of Love member. It's a club right there on Cricket Way where the club itself is the community. People join that club from all over the world. England, Canada, America, Caribbean, So once you're in the WhatsApp group, that is where the club is. She's also a member of the club. And her duty is our eyes and ears right over there in Louisiana and Alabama. She came here and she had donated to the club $1,000 the last time she came here. It was 505 came from.
Two came from Josh and three from.
Oh, two came, not 1,000, sorry. It's 500 US. 200 came from Josh, that's her son, that does jazz. That does opera. And she donated 3. And I'm telling you, it was coming down to the Christmas. We really decorate Cricket Way, get paints and different stuff. And we done so much. So it's a nice person and she's very loving. And I don't see why someone would want to abuse a beautiful person like this. Don't think you can escape. You know, give us a piece of that song.
Which song?
The song about battered woman.
Oh, okay.
So we hear she do poem, we hear she speak about her reality. Now it's time to hear her sing a piece.
I hope I can.
Welcome to center stage, Robin White Morton. Take it away.
I hope I can remember part of it. It's also in this book. It's called "You Won't Be Happy," and as soon as I get to it, let's see. Bear with me a second, and I would be delighted to do at least a verse for you, if that's okay.
Until then, let's see what happens here inside. Oh, on the screen, people are still typing. It's your girl Anake. The story a piss me off. Honestly, this man is a real, you know what kind of man. You should have never been through so much. Is is been through so much. Is what so him think. You are Jesus, to bear the cross, kiss me teeth. That's your girl Anake.
Yeah.
She's really, really, really pissed off.
I just found the page. Bear with me a second.
It's your girl Anake. Your love, you're appreciated, you're beautiful, you're strong.
Thank you.
You deserve the world. Go get the world on. You deserve it.
Okay, she's on my team.
That's your girl Anake.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just saw it. Bear with me a second. I did the pages.
My people, like up the live, share it out. Yeah, man. And if you haven't subscribed as yet, please do so. So like the live, share it out, and subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. Dark tune current, dark tune, dark tune, dark tune. That's about talk to tell you. Once you come on this live, you must tell the truth. We don't want you edit nothing. For you start to edit is lie you tell. And if I, the host, find out that you are trying to edit something to look good and I know the truth, in the middle of an interview, I will tell you. That's how it is. And I make sure to tell everybody before you come to sit and interview with me. If you know you're not going to tell the truth, make sure I don't know that reality, because if I ever know it in the middle of your interview, I will tell it. Here with Shauna, some great words, dear Anna. Okay, let's hear Robin White sings part of that song.
The title of the song is "You Won't Be Happy," and it goes like this: If you have a daughter, and somebody hurts her, you won't be happy. You won't be happy. You won't be happy. If it were your mother, and somebody harms her, you won't be happy. You won't be happy. You won't be happy. Nobody woke up in this world to be heard by another. Nobody woke up in this world to be killed by a lover, partner, friendship, husband, boyfriend, lover, living. If it were your sister, sister, and somebody killed her, you won't be happy. You won't be happy. You won't be happy.
Nice song. Beautiful voice. So touching. Telling you, tonight is a special night. It's your girl Anna K grabbing you, Shana. So it's your girl Anna K your house, so you don't have to go back till tomorrow because you'll be busy at your own. Now, as I said to you, talk to tell you. Just come with the truth and nothing but the truth. Sasha, Sashi Diva, me think I go through it with my ex. But after all, I never get no lick. So I guess I I get through nothing. Me not go through nothing. So she said, Sashi Boo said she went through to her ex, but it never hit her. So after all, compared to your story,
No.
Earns is nothing.
Sasha Boo, there are various types of violence. There's physical, which I encountered, and there are other women who have encountered physical violence at a level where they lost their life, and it's been even worse. There's also something that's called mental abuse, where that person can put you down, they can talk about you, they can make you then they take away your self-esteem and diminish you. That's also a form of domestic violence as well. So even though my ex-husband never did curse me, he never called me out of my name or anything like that, but every chance he got to put his hands on me, he was quick to attack. So physical and mental abuse is very, very dangerous in both ways. What I did was I learned along the way was every time he touched me, I told somebody about it.
Okay. Sasha Boo Diva say beautiful voice.
Thank you, Sasha.
So she was sitting there enjoying the song that you sing, and that goes with the book
Yeah.
that she wrote.
Thank you.
And the words of that song is also in the book. It's your girl Anna K. Sash. Me feel it to my core. That's your girl Anna K.
Okay.
So she really and truly feel it. What happened? It's your girl Anna K. It's your girl Anna K. She said she had a spectacular voice indeed.
Thank you for
For
your
real.
kindness.
She have a spectacular voice indeed. So they love your voice.
Thank you.
It's your girl, Anna K. She said, oh, she has. She must have. So she's saying that you really have a spectacular voice. They love your voice and they love the song that you sang. It's your girl, Anna K. Just a type of error. Yes, I realize that Anna K, there's a type of error in it. Here with Shauna. Really Anna. So they're speaking about your voice.
Thank you.
They really like it. It's
Thank
your girl Anna K. Special indeed. Now, this live tonight, it really means something to my program because this will reach out to all there are persons right now in Jamaica getting abused and not telling. I know people right now who, but they don't want anyone to be involved in it because they're so scared and they're afraid that they don't want to lose their life. And as Robin said, you have different types of abuse, which is dangerous just as physical abuse. You have mental abuse and to name some of the abuse. But people may believe that it only happened in Jamaica. People in Trinidad may believe it only happened in Trinidad. People in Canada may believe it only happened there. But this happened all over the world.
Yeah.
Sasha Boo said she got verbal abuse.
Yeah.
She said she got verbal abuse.
It doesn't feel good. Yeah.
All right. Sasha Boo said all him could have do, a chat off him mouth, couldn't touch me. I have to take serious thing, make joke. She said him couldn't touch her though. Me do not talk off him mouth and she have to take serious thing, make joke because if he had touched her, then maybe she should have retaliated. No, it's not everyone resort to violence. They have different things that some people do. Some people never go up that way. So, but what we should know is the different programs are the numbers that you should call when something like this happens. Because it's a serious thing. And we can say anything sometimes because it is not happening to us. But sometimes decision is one of the hardest thing to make. That's why someone who really go through it can actually tell you what transpired. If you play the game of domino, the foreman that sits on the table, him doesn't him guess or might have read the game, but he can read wrong. But the one that stand up around the game, him can tell you what's in everybody's hand. So you know what you can play, what you have to win. But the rest of them has to read, and not all the time they read the right card. No, it is great having you here, and I am telling you, this is such a touching story. I want this book to release as soon as possible. I know people is going to want to read this book.
They have the National Domestic Violence Hotline. There's a phone number. You can go to your online. You can Google the Domestic Violence Hotline in Jamaica or wherever you are.
And they can get this book to sell.
Not this book yet, but I'm telling them how to get assistance. There's a hotline. If you just need to talk about it, if you need to talk to someone, you can make a phone call. And there are counselors online that are available to listen to you and help you make decisions as it relates to how you want to leave. What I tell people is to leave and to leave quickly. Had I had done one thing in the beginning of this relationship, when I called my mother was to leave and to leave quickly, I would not have experienced things at the level I believe that I did experience. So with the playing and the touching and the pushing and all that other stuff, all those things tend to escalate when you start with the play tapping. And that's what I would tell my students all the time when they were playing with their boyfriends, because the licks only, the hits get harder.
Okay. Sashibu said, my mouth no join church, so maybe him go through verbal abuse. Verbal abuse that cause me. I'm afraid to tell him hot words back. Me not take this from nobody. She don't take disrespect from anybody. Yes, Sashibu. But as I said, people are kind of different and go a different way. And I know maybe my daughter would act a different way also. Maybe she'll come call her father. He knows she, you know. That's why I said people need their father. No. Robin White Morton, I will allow you to give your last words, if there's anything you want to say to the people of Jamaica over the world.
I
Read
feel
the topic,
okay.
battered woman tell somebody, any
Mhm.
advice, and anybody who want to shout out to, you can do so now.
I um I just want to just say thank you to everyone who came on Talk Truth Telly today to listen to my story. I have great respect for you for taking the time out of your busy schedule just to sit with us for a little while. It is my prayer that you take my story and share it with someone else so they don't have to experience some of the things that I've experienced at the hand of a person who had not grown, because though you are with a man sometime, he's not fully developed. So he's still in his boyish, childish stage. So if he has some growing to do, you need to release him and leave, and I say as it relates to domestic violence, to leave and to leave quickly and know that God loves you first. He brought you here. And when he sent you here with arms and legs, but not with a stick attached to you for someone to use on you. And that hands and arms are meant for loving and hugging and holding and stroking and touching and for gentleness and kindness, but not to take your fist and ball it up and to hurt or choke or try to maim another person. So I say to those who are fresh in a relationship, and if it's not working for you, don't hesitate to exit stage left. Save yourself.
Okay, thank you, Robin White Morton.
Thank you,
It's nice
guys.
having you here.
Thank you.
My people, this is Talk Through Telly with Joseph Curran as your host, Robin White Morton as your co-host. Remember, if you are going through abuse, tell somebody. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid. If it's married to the person and want to save your marriage, save your life first. If it's your spouse, you want to save 25 years, save your life first. Tell somebody. You are just a victim. There's nothing to be afraid of. Tap tuned, tap tuned, tap tuned current, tap tuned. Good night. See you again next week, Sunday. Don't forget, on a daily basis, I give you a Snapchat where I go on live for 15, 20 minutes. Snapchat. Love you all. Walk good. Tata.